good, YouTube? It's your boy Matt of Pig and Matt here. So, today I went to locals and I managed to get second place today with the deck you see before you, Salamangreat. But, unlike a lot of my other salad builds, this one is vastly different from what I've been playing. Because we recently got this card right here, Decode Talker Heat Soul. This card is nuts. And I wanted to build a version of Salad that actually utilized it in such a way that it could be really effective. So, with the deck that you see before you, after looking at some videos online and doing some theorio, I think I came up with a pretty solid build of Salamangreat that is a little less traditional, but something really good. So, let's go with the BS and show you guys my second place Salamangreat deck profile. Alright, start out with the salad lineup. Of course you play the Gazelle, just the one singular Foxy. This card is absolutely important because I had to deal with Zombie World a lot today, and this is an out to it. And one guy even flipped the mortal enemy, there can be only one, which this card outed, and that was great. 2 copies of Spinny. It's very, very important because it's basically a free body to help you link off and do stuff. Fantastic card. And then the other homie, 2 copies of Jacques Jaguar. Anybody that says to cut this to 1, I'll never agree with them. And yeah. And if you watch Distant Coder's video where he played the level 2 guy, I just forgot what that card was. That's why you don't see it in this. Alright. Now that's pretty much the Salad monster lineup. The Salad support cards, of course, you have the 1 mandatory field spell, 3 copies of Circle, just a singular Will, and 1 copy of Roar. This is good for most end boards, and it's just an Omni Negate. This is just a Monster Reborn, kind of win more easy side out. And 3 Circle made it where you didn't need to play too many Salad names, because it essentially acts as an extra copy of every one, and it's great Ash Blossom bait. Also, with this build in particular, you're not completely dependent on Sunlight Wolf to recycle all your stuff. Alright. Now on to the changes. With this build, I kind of incorporated a bit of Code Talkers into it in the form of 2 microcoders, 1 of this new Code Exporter. Yeah, Exporter. Of course, the 3 copies of Signet Mining, and then a singular copy of Signet Conflict. This card was super good, basically just another negate for if you ended on a Heat Soul board that most people kind of never thought about. And Signet Mining here is searchable with Microcoder, who can link out of the hand, which was absolutely insane all day. This card is really good. I always enjoyed playing this in regular Salad, but in this build it was just kind of a lot better card. And then this is the new guy that was released in Ghost from the Past. I think in Code Talkers he's probably a much better card, but in this one I did, at least in one of my games, do a neat interaction where I ended up linking away with like a Salad guy, got Gazelle back, and then proceeded to combo from there. But yeah, this is the small Code Talker package, really. It's really good. Kind of worth trying, but I will admit this guy is kind of cuttable. I'm just not 100% sure for what. To round it out with kind of the Cyverse good stuff, I opted for 3 copies of Buffalo. Always been my favorite. 3's not completely mandatory. You could kind of flex around. You could play 2 copies if you wanted, but I just opted for the 3 because I really like the card. And 1 Lady Debug. This just gets hand trapped, and it really sucks when that happens. But at the same time, it's still a solid card, worth running. And if you don't want to run multiple Buffalo, you can run multiples of her. I also, in this build specifically, ran 2 copies of Parallel Exceed. It basically helps get your Heat Soul plays a lot better. And it's just another extender, really solidly good card. But, I don't know, I might fix my extra deck to better utilize it with something else, because I'll get to explain that here in a bit. The 1C Archiver, really good card, but I didn't really see it too much all day. And then the card I did see, that was the biggest homie card, and maybe the best tech in the whole Cyberse good stuff, Dotscaper. This card was nuts, because when it gets sent to the graveyard, or when it gets banished, it'll special summon itself. And in one game, I played a card you'll see in a bit, and they chain Dimension Shifter, so I just sent this guy, and he special summoned himself, and I was able to do some plays from there. So yeah, this card's super duper good. Very much recommend everybody give it a shot. For the most part, it can help one card into your Heat Soul, which is great. Love this card. Also, in one game, a guy had a Mirror Jade, and for some reason used it on this. That was dumb. Alright, for the hand traps, I actually just ran 2 Crow, 2 Nib, 3 Ash, 3 Imperm. This was pretty good because for some reason today a lot of people were playing Lina, and you really don't want to give them extra lights so they don't access code you for game, which I didn't think about until today. So yeah, I'm probably going to stick with this. Ash Blossom is Ash Blossom. You want to see it against Branded and all that. Nibiru here actually did a lot better today than I thought, and kind of made me consider wanting to run 3. People just don't respect it, so you just wipe their board when they're playing big wombo combo decks, which is dope. And Crow was mid. I mean, I see where, but I just didn't really run into too many scenarios where I needed to use it. And I even went against Branded, and it did nothing. Alright. And just the last few cards to round out the whole deck, the Singular Duster, the Called By, and Foolish Burial. You can send Dotscaper, combo off. Send a Salad Name, just generally really good card. Highly recommend giving it a shot. Easy side out games 2 and 3 if you needed to. Called By, of course, is mandatory. And you play the Mine just as another Zombie World out or Mystic Mine out. So that's the main deck for you. Now on to the extra deck. Now this is where I felt really gross with this deck, because I look at this and I'm disgusted with myself, because I only played 2 copies of Phalanx and 2 copies of Sunlight Wolf. That's it. That's all you really need. This build isn't nearly as focused on controlling and continually getting resources back with Sunlight Wolf, but of course you play the 2 because he's absolutely insanely good card, and that's the only way you can really maximize his effectiveness. But Phalanx here, this one might be worth still playing 3 copies of, because this card was insane. Because to help compensate, I played the Singular Lingeriva, basically just act as another attribute for Heat Soul when you run into that play line. But like, there were instances where I almost wanted a 3rd one of these just to have the extra resource. But Jack Jaguar just lets you keep recycling these bastards. And yeah, this was weird to play, but it was surprisingly effective. There's also, for me, the absolute mandatory update jammer, just for when you can do that, why not? I played 1 Code Talker himself. This is just 2 effect monsters, so you can play this under Zombie World. And for the most part, it's just an okay card. I pretty much just did it as a link climbing, and just to get value off of my little coder talker boys. The super important card, and one I might consider bumping up to 2 in the future, is Splash Mage. It's basically one card Heat Soul with Dotscaper, and in most cases, he was what I did to play around Nib boards, because I would make him and then try to climb into Nibiru, and they would usually do that then. But if they didn't, this card was insane. Or at the very least, you could make the card I keep mentioning, Decode Talker Heat Soul. So the reason I play this is because he requires Cyvers that are different attributes, which is really annoying in Salad because you predominantly just play fire and go on with your life. But like his effect to draw was apparently not a once per turn when we read the card. So there were some instances where I'd bring him back and just keep drawing cards, and that was insane. I think over the course of one interaction between 2 or 3 turns with my opponent, I drew 3 cards essentially off this one guy and got way more advantage than I should have. This card absolutely rules. I loved it. Of course, this guy, because he's your second probably most important link in the whole deck, because he helps make this guy, who you should probably be playing 2 of in this deck, because if they hit it once, they can't hit it again. Trust me. 1 copy of Avermax. I thought it was cute and funny, so that's why I played it. And then, of course, the 1 copy of Mirage Stalio, my boy, the homie for life. Now, these last 2 cards were absolutely worthless, and they're going to be cut in the future. You could make this, because it's just kind of generic, but it's worthless, and I'm probably never going to try and be this cute again. This card's really cool. I like it a lot. It can pop a card on the field, and since you play the Parallel Exceeds, it's fairly easy. I just never ran into a scenario where I thought, hey, I should make this card. So it'll probably just be another Access and Splash Mage or something. Alright, now for the side deck. Basically, I thought, what are 4 really good cards that can hit Sky Striker and other decks? And the answer was these 4 cards right here. Board Break, Stall or Stun the opponent, and if you're going first. And for the most part, all 4 of these cards were a really good choice because they generically came in all the time. Now I had 3 more flex spots, and from there I just simply went with Help You OTK Faster, Fuck Zombie World, and another going first stun card. This card's pretty good because if you play it on Branded, they can't do anything. And in other instances, you play this, play the field spell, make something, if you attack it, well, you just make it where 2/0 monsters can't kill each other. And yeah, it's really, really good. This is honestly better in Code Talkers because they just have way more outlets to abuse it. But, I thought it was worth citing, and it may still be there in the future. I might main deck it. I'm not sure, but yeah. This was basically just for when I'm going first, and I just wanted another Floodgate-like way to lock them out, stop myself from being Nibiru, all that jazz. So there you have it, folks. My second place, I guess Salamangreat, Code Talker, good stuff, if you wanted to give it additional titles. Overall, I was very happy with how this deck performed, and I think I'm going to keep refining it in the future. And yeah, this deck's the best. There's a reason I have been playing it since the structure decks came out. So if you like what you see, make sure to comment down below. If you have any hints or suggestions that you would do, make sure to let me know. This is Meh, Pig and Meh, signing out.